only in case of our India, this day is very, very popular to whole of the academic world. Yes, I want to say about such type of day, that's Teacher Day. And first of all, I give my deepest respect to all on this day. This is the second day from our side in case of organization of this such international webinar organized by Department of Geology and Physiology of Bajpur Miloni Mahavidyalaya. I cordially invite all of you. And on this second day, we have achieved another great personality, teacher and resource person also. Yes, I want to say about such name, Dr. Keshav Chandra Mondal. He is actually one of the popular teacher to us, and this is not any unknown character to this college. This is very known, very popular, very conventional character to us. And first of all, I want to introduce him to all of the participants. Actually, Professor Keshav Chandra Mondal is a human physiology graduate from Midnapur College Autonomous and PhD in applied microbiology from Vidyasagar University, West Bengal, India. He was awarded Chancellor's Gold Medal for scoring the first rank in MSc examination in the university in 1991. Since last 23 years, he is serving at the faculty of Raja N.L. Khan Women's College and Microbiology Department, Vidyasagar University, in various capacities. He is a renowned academician and scientist also in the area of microbial enzymes, gut flora, probiotics, and fermented foods. His research efforts have been focused on understanding the diversity of intensial bacteria, particularly during environmental stress. The nutrient components, microbial diversity, and enzymes in traditional fermented foods is also his research field. He is developing functional foods having anti-obesity and anti-toxic potentialities by using probiotic bacteria and yeasts from traditional fermented foods. He is handling number of research projects sponsored by UGC, DBT, CSIR, DST, and other relevant departments of state government. And he has published more than 140 scientific papers, 5 review, 16 book chapters, 1 textbook from CRC Press. He has guided more than 100 dissertation projects, 4 MPhil students, produced 16 PhD students, and presently 5 students are pursuing PhD under his guidance. He is the recipient of Indo-Hungarian Fellowship in 2014 and Tempus Public Foundation TPF Fellowship, Hungary for the year 2015-16. He is a live member of several professional bodies like Asian Federation of Biotechnology, AFB, Indian Science Congress Association, ISCA, Biotech Research Society of India, Indian National Academy of Stress Science, Association of Microbiologists of India, and Physiological Society of India. He has widely traveled in Europe and many other countries and has delivered lead talks in many conferences and has organized several conferences and workshops. He is a regular reviewer for manuscripts of several reputed Indian and international journals. Hence, we are lucky to achieve him, and I would request him to deliver his lecture now. Sir, please. Sir, क्या unmute को तो? Sir, unmute करूँ. Okay.
So, good morning, everybody. I offer my well wishes in the eve of Teachers' Day to all of you. I sincerely offer my thanks to the organizer for this invitation, distinguished faculty member of this college, students, and my dear participants. From yesterday, it is well discussing about the COVID-19. This is one type of viral disease. And very recently, within 1 year, just you see the status. January 20, only 4 days are four countries are affected. February 15, 28 countries are affected. And within March 20, it spread around the more or less entire globe. 165 countries are affected. So from this picture, it is clear that how it is infectious, how it created pandemic. So coronavirus, that means having the envelope, having the crown on its surface. Till date, 7 human coronavirus have been identified. Among them, 4 are less pathogenic, but so-called SARS, MERS, and SARS-CoV-2, which is called COVID-19, are the most infectious virus particle. If you compared SARS and MERS, in case of SARS, only 8,000 people are affected, but the mortality rate is 10%. Whereas in case MERS, highly fatal, only 857 number of people are affected, and mortality is 35%. But we are fortunate that SARS-CoV-2, that is the COVID-19, affected around 3.6 million people, but mortality rate is very low, around 2%. But its infectability very high, that can be measured one mathematical indicator called the reproductive number or RO value. This number indicated that in comparison to SARS and MERS, this COVID-19 is more infectious. It can spread very fast. And all of these viruses are originated from the animal resource. All of the virus. In general, bats are regarded as the virus reservoir. As it is carnivorous, therefore it contains lot of virus. But interestingly, this is the interesting part of the host pathogen interaction, that bats are not so affected by that virus. These are reservoir. So if you compare, if you see this picture only, this is the phylogenetic relationship. This SARS-CoV-2, or it is called as the coronavirus disease or COVID-19, this virus particle having good link with the bat COVID virus. Therefore, scientists focused that it originated from the bat, and it has 79% similarity with the SARS. That SARS affected in our globe in just 2012, that means 2012. And MERS, it has 50% relationship with the MERS. It is well known that in the Middle East, camel was the vector in case of MERS, whereas bird and bats type bird are the intermediate for the SARS. So with this brief history, I want to focus something that if you consider the growth curve That means every living system having a specific growth curve, specific generation time. So if you compare, in case of COVID-19, it completed its life cycle within 14 to 15 days. Whereas in case of SARS, around 3 weeks. So from this curve, it is clear that within 14 days, it will complete its total life cycle. And within, this is called peak period. Peak period, that means virus load come into the maximum. That may happen within 3 to 4 days of infection. This is the coronavirus, and yesterday discussed lot of things. I just pointed out specific point that this virus particle, as this is the coronavirus, that's the crown-like shape. It has 4 major structural protein. 4 major structural protein. One is the spike glycoprotein that remain in the surface. Second is the membrane protein. Third is the envelope protein and nucleocapsid protein. These are the structural protein. Besides, there are non-structural protein also. Its genomic structure is very short. This is the single-stranded positive sense RNA genome. So in molecular biology, we have the idea that central dogma from DNA to RNA, RNA to protein, but its genome is such a product, it's like that. From direct positive sense RNA to it can translate protein. Through mRNA, it can translate protein. Therefore, reactivity is much more high. So I want to state that it is more infectious and reproducible. And its structural, structural spike protein that remain in the surface, that is the major target for the different drug presently. This target protein having 2 subunits. Just you see the below picture, pedal-like structure S1 and yellow structure S2. This is the surface protein that can able to bind with the specific receptor on the cell. And this surface protein responsible for the particularly S2, S1 responsible for the binding and S2 responsible for the cell membrane fusion.
Sir, pardon me.
Sorry, sir, interrupted. Sir, slide
Hello.
not visible.
Yes.
Not visible. Hello.
Not visible, sir. Not visible, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Visible now?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Visible.
Now it's clearly visible.
So perhaps from this point, okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So this coronavirus, this COVID-19 having structural protein that is remain constant. These are 4 types of proteins: spike protein, membrane protein, envelope protein, and nucleocapsid protein. These are called structural protein. And this structure, apart from the
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Okay, sir. Continue, sir. Okay, visible.
apart from the structural protein, its genome structure is very short, only 13 kb positive sense RNA. And this structure, among the structural protein, one is the spike protein that responsible for the binding with the host. This structural protein having 2 parts. I am stating this is because this is the target site for the development of different drugs. This structural protein S1 unit, it can bind with the receptor, and yellow color S2 unit that responsible for the membrane fusion. Okay. And interestingly, if you compared with the SARS and MARS, why you have to compare? And because its database is available, there are 27 number of amino acids, 27 number of odd amino acids are remain within the COVID-19 and the SARS and MARS. Secondly, its envelope protein having multifunctional role in the pathogenesis. Multifunctional role in the pathogenesis, that means that can affect the whole cell. Among its non-structural protein, so I stated that there are 4 types of structural protein, but besides there are 16 number of non-structural protein. 16 number of non-structural protein. And non-structural protein means that remain within the cell. Okay. And among the non-structural protein, protease group of enzyme are the major enzyme, and another enzyme is the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. RNA-dependent. Hello, some noise is coming. So, from its genome, it has 30 kilobase length. From the 5' end, the orientation of the genome is like that. These are the structural protein, and from the last, from the green color, initially towards the 5' EPR, these are the non-structural protein, and from the green color, initiated the structural protein. So sequence is like that: 5' leader, UTR, replicate. So these are the orientation of this genome. And if you compare with the SARS and MARS, why it is so infectious but less fatal? Due to continuous adaptive mutation. Due to continuous adaptive mutation of this virus particle. And mutation happened due to instability of its RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, number 1. Second is the adaptive change. For example, suppose that virus infected to me, and from me to it spread to other group of people. Likewise, it is spreading. You have idea that initiate in the Wuhan and then spread all around the globe. So during spreading, when it adapts within the body of the individual, then certain changes happen. Therefore, these organisms are gradually become non-infectious organism, non-infectious, less fatal organism. This is due to adaptive change. We are generally stated that adaptive mutation. So just if you compare with the SARS and MARS, till day there are 380 number of amino acid variation. 380 number of amino acid variation in comparison to SARS and MARS. So am I clear? So I want to state that when it just cross the different individual, it loses its pathogenicity, therefore turning into less fatal organism. And when it binds, interestingly, I mentioned earlier one point that is the reservoir. That is the reservoir, but it causes infection to the human. Next question, why? Nature created in such a way that human having this violet color enzyme that is called transmembrane protease. It is well known that this virus bind with the angiotensin converting enzyme 2, ACE2. So this is the receptor side. But before binding, the spike protein modified by the host enzyme. Spike protein modified by the host enzyme, this is called transmembrane protease serine 2. So after modification, it can only able to react as well as initiate the pathogenesis. So one question is very common to all of us, that why only human are affected? The science is like that. Due to presence of this violet color transmembrane protease that modified its spike protein, and after modification, it would able to bind with the ACE2 receptor. Okay. So this is the major thing, and this ACE2 receptor expressed in all around our body, from brain, lungs, kidney, heart, and therefore, whatever virus is affected, then different organs are also infected by the virus. And after infection, it comes into the cell where it uses its own machinery, then gradually produce new virus particle, and through vesicle, this vesicle then release into the environment, extracellular space. It is very well known that chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine are one of the effective drugs, and their mode of action is that it blocks the exocytosis. It blocks this exocytosis point. Therefore, vesicles unable to release. Okay. Though it affected different organ, but its major route of entry through our nasopharynx route, as because we inhale lot of air, and as this is a airborne disease, therefore this particle come into the body through this route maximally. But besides, mucous gland of the eye as well as through mouth, it can be infected. And it major, as the nasopharynx route is the major site, major route. Therefore, our respiratory tract is mostly affected. Therefore, common symptoms of the patient are like that: fever, cough, chest tightness, some sort of dyspnea, pneumonia. These are the common symptoms arise. Pulmonary cells are mostly affected. In our respiratory tract, there are three zones. These are called three peak. One is the tonsil that first detect the virus particle and tried to protect the virus infection. Besides, another group of cell called goblet cell that remain in the trachea or airway. This is the mucus secreting cell. So, mucus secretion that is very associated with the COVID-19 symptom, that is due to the goblet cell infection. And third group of cell is the alveolar cell, where two types of cell. One is the type 1 cell responsible for the exchanging of gas, and type 2 cell, that is the surfactant secreting cell. Surfactant secreting cell means our alveoli always remain in the so-called expanded condition, and the chemical responsible for this state is the surfactant. So this type 1 and type 2 cell having huge number of ACE2 receptor. When the type 1 cell, this is the just you see the picture, it is mostly responsible for the gas exchanging. Okay. When virus particles are infected to the type 1 cell, then the type 1 cell are intercalated. Intercalated means one cell fused with the other. Therefore, they produce a giant cell. Just you see the next picture. So this is the picture of a giant cell. It was initially the small cell, but after infection of the virus particle, the blue dot are the virus particle, the cell are fused to each other. Therefore, they created barrier for a gas exchanging. So it is responsible for the gas exchanging. But when the cells are fused to each other, they form the layer. Therefore, gas exchanging process is greatly affected. Therefore, the process of hypoxia, we generally refer as the happy hypoxia. The cause of the happy hypoxia is the formation of this syncytium. This process is called syncytium. Okay. So, in another way, lot of mucus and fluid also deposited. That is due to inflammation. And that great inflammation is mediated by the cell cytokines secretion. Lot of cytokines, chemokines, interleukin, which is the mediator of the so-called our immunity, communicator of our immunity. Their concentration rises very much, and that leads to, we refer one term, vasodilation, vessel dilated. Therefore, water come into the alveolar space. So this is the complete pathophysiology of the COVID-19 infection to our lungs. And this is the CT scan picture. Just you see patch formation in different duration. Gradually, water is deposited. A lot of water and mucus is deposited. Therefore, our lungs are gradually loses its function. So apart from this, in generally, liver also infected. There are many parameters as the liver cell also containing this receptor. So for general serological test, by measuring the different component of liver function test. Is it clear? So liver is very close to the lungs. Therefore, viral infection virus can be directly infected the liver. And for general serological test, we can also determine the level of our liver damage by measuring some enzymes. Next, this is very important. So in our population, we found that migratory labor, just you see, migratory labor are the carrier. It has well established that migratory labor are the carrier. But very few labor, around 14 lakh migratory labor, they come in our state. But among them, very few little, less than 0.1% having the symptom. This is because they are the daily worker. Therefore, their immune system remains stable. Their immune system remains stable. But who are died, who are died, their immune system, those are died, that means exaggerated symptom appear. Those people, their immune system are dysregulated. This dysregulation can be broadly divided into two types. One is the hyper, another is the hypo state. In case of diabetes, in case of cardiac disease, these patients having the hypo state. But those are infected, having any chronic infection, heavy chronic infection, they are called hyper state. And so-called damage happen within the body that due to dysregulated immune system, hyperactivity of the immune system. In our body, one immune system is called innate immune system, that is remains stable. That is the first line defense against virus infection. But due to COVID-19 infection, this innate immune system it is the first line defense, but it unable to control. I am not going into the details, but the machinery is like that. This, I'll come back. Virus adapted in such a way that virus altered its structure in such a way that it can bypass the innate immunity. It can bypass the innate immunity. Therefore, our innate immunity are unable to recognize them. First adaptation is its double-strand RNA is shaded, that means covered by the membrane. And second thing is that virus RNA is modified. This is called guanosine cap and methylated. These two types of alteration leads to somehow modified the virus particle in such a way that it can bypass the innate immune system. Besides our virus eliminating cell, that is called natural killer cell. And another chemical called interferon. Both the quantity of natural killer cell and interferon suppressed. So in one way, our antiviral potentiality power become declined. In another way, virus particle bypass the innate immune system. As a result, this virus particle induce one system that is called inflagome activation. It come into the cell, and within the cytosol there is one cascade system mechanism called inflagome. It can directly activate the inflagome. Whenever inflagome activated, then this inflagome liberated or induce the synthesis of different interleukin or cytokines, different chemicals, including TNF alpha, interleukin 1 beta, interleukin 6, and interleukin 18. These are actually mediator for inflammation. These are called pro-inflammatory cytokines. So thing is that whenever this virus particle bind, so just its road is somehow clear, and because innate immune system unable to protect it, it infected the cell, and within the cell it activate inflagome machinery. Therefore, lot of interleukin or chemical release, and these chemical actually modified the function of other system or other parts of the body. Therefore, this state is called cytokine storm. That means the concentration of the pro-inflammatory cytokines enhance more than 100 times than the normal condition. And this inflammation that is responsible for the inflammation, damage to the cell, these cytokines, host cytokines, actually causes disease. So very interesting. Virus particle not directly alter the cell. It just induce the inflammatory pathway. Therefore, inflammation happen in different parts of the body. Okay. And on the other hand, as I mentioned that we have two immune system. One is innate immunity, another is the adaptive immune system. Adaptive immunity means that can change their concentration accordingly. In case of adaptive immune system, their responsible cell are the T cell. One cell is called T cell and it has subclasses CD4 and CD8. The concentration of the T cell also declined, that due to this cytokine storm. And on the other hand, the B cell produce actually the antibody. And for antibody production needs the help of the T cell. Therefore, antibody production happened, but these are short-lived antibody. In case of normal vaccination, antibody remains stable up to 1 year like that. But due to COVID infection and not participation of the T cell, Ig immunoglobulin antibody produce, but these are short-lived, remain in the body for up to maximally up to 4 weeks. Therefore, we found that reinfection of the COVID-19. Why that happened? In case of pox or other virus disease, once infected, body become able to resist for the next infection. But in case of COVID-19, what we are seeing in different report, that there is a case of the reinfection that may happen after 1 month or 2 months. That is the cause, short-lived antibody. Therefore, whenever people are trying to develop vaccine, they are considering this phenomenon. Okay, till day, there are 5 types of vaccine I have developed. One is the incorporation of its gene through the other virus. This is called non-replicating viral vector. Another RNA. Third is the inactivated. That means like polio, inactivated virus. And in our country, different firm is trying to produce inactivated vaccine. Besides protein subunit and DNA. These are the 5 types of vaccine that are producing. But interestingly, children are less susceptible for the COVID-19 as because their immunity is growing. Secondly, I mentioned the receptor, that ACUT receptor. They having the receptor, but these are they remain in the inactivated state due to lack of hormone estrogen and androgen. Besides, infants are subjected to frequent infection, vaccination that also expand their immunity. Okay, and another cause is that they having larger quantity of NK cell, natural killer cell. Therefore, children are less infected. So this is the spreading of the virus particle from bats to human. There is a great chance through pangolin, and it can spread the droplet. Okay, but here I point out one important thing. Every people are using the mask. The pore size of the mask is maximum 300 micron. N95 means 95% of the total pore having the same size. But virus particle, its size, virus particle size 20 to 30 micron. So our so-called masks unable to prevent the entry of the virus particle. It can only prevent the water droplet. but it unable to larger water droplet. Okay, in the last slide, I will show how many water droplet is important. So there are 4 types of drug till they develop. Perhaps you hear these names. Remdesivir, heavy PVR, these are the common drug. These are actually inhibitor for the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. So virus, it can prevent that enzyme, RNA dependent RNA polymerase. Second is the chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. These are alkaline nature, therefore prevent the fusion of this vessel into the membrane. Third is the analog to so-called pro-inflammatory cytokine IL-6. And fourth is the antibody, monoclonal antibody directed towards the virus particle. So till date, 4 types of drugs have been developed. But the important drug is the first group, inhibitor for the hydroxychloroquine. Perhaps you have idea that similar type of virus is the HIV. To prevent this enzyme of the HIV, chemists have developed more than 40 types of analog. So there are few analog. That means analog means to prevent the activity of this enzyme, they develop this type of analog. So there are very less available analogs till date. Therefore, till date, no medicine have developed, specific medicine have developed. Okay, these are some sort of precaution measure. Next come into our Ministry of Ayush. I will complete within 10 minutes. So Ministry of Ayush recommended 3 important measures. One is the drinking of hot water, warm water that can increase the blood supply in our nasopharynx. Second is the daily practice of Yogasana Pranayam that improve our respiratory system. Third is the immunoboosting. That means our spice, holly, jeera, dhania, and lasun, garlic. These are immunoboosting. Perhaps you observe one important thing. In comparison to Europe, the mortality rate of Indian population is very less. In our country, around hello. Hello.
যে ব্যক্তিকে আপনি কল করছেন তিনি এখন উত্তর দিতে পারছেন না। অনুগ্রহ করে পরে চেষ্টা করুন। आप जिस व्यक्ति को कॉल कर रहे हैं वह उत्तर नहीं दे रहे हैं। कृपया कुछ समय पश्चात प्रयास करें।
Hello. It is audible.
Sir, your voice is audible, and also another song we heard some minutes ago, and I request the management team to tell everyone to mute the mic when we are using the phone and hearing your voice only. And your slide is, we can see your slide, but what you are talking we can't hear this because the another sound is coming from there.
Okay, now audible clearly.
Now it's audible.
Yes,
Audible.
sir.
Clearly, sir, audible.
Okay. So, just you see, in comparison to Europe and India, in case of Spain and Italy, where mortality rate around 10%, but in India it is less than 2%. People are saying that the spice we use regularly along with food having great immunoboosting ability. And our Ministry of Ayush recommended daily consumption of holly, jeera, dhania, and lasun. These having the immunoboosting agent. This is the Indian spice. This spice containing bioactive compound. It is well established that cinnamon, ginger, garlic, turmeric, it having the specific bioactive compound which having the antioxidant, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory activity. This is the traditional way by which Indian people have developed their immunity. Next, Yogasana. These are the prescribed Yogasana. These are improved immune and respiratory system. Savasana, Balasana, Bhujangasana, Dhanurasana, Bhadrasana, Chakrasana, Ustrasana, and apart from this, Kapalbhati Pranayam. These can improve our immune system as well as respiratory system. Considering this, our Ayush division recommended to prevent the COVID-19 crisis, regular drink warm water that refresh our nasopharynx layer. Second, daily practice of Yogasana, and third, use the spices. Besides, there are 6 nutraceuticals: zinc, vitamin C, iron, vitamin E, vitamin A, and vitamin 6. These are very important, and that remain in our fresh vegetables that can able to heal our body, improve our immunity. Okay. Next, finally, US government recommended some sort of practice. Very important. Recently, US government recommended some sort of practice to overcome our traditional concept. We have very bad traditional concept, but these are the based on the scientific analysis. First, you see coronavirus transmission. Very low risk of transmission from surface. Very low risk from outdoor activity. Very high risk from gathering in the closed space. Okay. Second thing, very important. For any infection, we have needed the effective dose of the medicine or like that. Just we consume medicine, but it must have the effective dose. Likewise, it has estimated that 1,000 virus particle is needed to induce any infection. 1,000 number of virus particle is needed to induce any infection. But you see, normal breathing, there is maximally 20 virus particle can be released. Normal speaking, 200 virus particle may be released. But through coughing and sneezing, more than 200 million virus particle can be released. So, just you follow these points. Next, being in vicinity to someone, if you remain in distance around 6 feet, low risk. Talking to someone face to face, low risk. Someone passing you by walking or jogging, low risk. Well ventilated room, low risk. Grocery shopping, medium risk. Indoor place, high risks. That thing happened in our hospitals, in our ICU. That is a closed AC room. There are 4 to 5 number of patients within the room. Virus particle remain surrounding around the air. So it will be better if the patient remain in the normal bed. Okay. Public bathroom, restaurants, working place, high risks. Parties wedding within the closed room, very, very high risks. So these are the conditions. So considering this, my total discussion, my concluding remark is like that. Most patients are asymptomatic in our area, but they can be spread this disease to the hypo or hyperimmune patient. Am I clear? Second is this virus particle complete its life cycle within 14 days. So if any people infected and thereafter remain within the room or remain in the closed area for 14 days, then virus particle will be just died. Virus particle will eliminate from our body. Third is very important. We have no idea that this organism originated from the bat, but infected in our human. But we have no such idea that the virus can be spread to the other animal till that sort of research is not conducted. So be careful from your pet animal. And finally, don't be panic. Whatever I discussed, that don't be panic. That stress actually alter our immune system. Remain cool, maintain your normal life, your immunity will be stable. Take your regular food, normal food. Don't be panic. And finally, as per the advice of the World Health Organization, be supportive, be careful, be alert, be kind, and be ready to fight COVID-19 infection. There is a long way for development of any vaccine. I mentioned that this virus particle gradually losing its power. It will remain in our human civilization as like influenza or other type of virus. Every people will be infected by this virus at any time of its life. Okay, therefore, be ready to fight against COVID-19. Thank you very much for giving me the space. Thanks to the organization and the participant.
Thank you so much, sir.
If you have any question, you can ask me. Or if you collect any question. If you have any query, and because I deal this problem for last 4 to 5 months. If you have any query, you can ask me.
Sir, has written question in the Robin sir only questions.
Okay, a lot of thanks and heartiest respect to Dr. Keshav Chandra Mondal, sir. And your explanation, discussion, lecture, all must be effective to us, specifically to all of the students who are actually tomorrow's teachers to the society. And we invite if there is any questions from the participants, may deliver now to sir. Sir, there is one question from Devobroto Puria. The question is that does protective immunity develop after SARS-CoV-2 infection? Can reinfection occur?
I mentioned that there is many examples of the reinfection. As our immunity, I highlighted that portion, that our so-called immunity remain up to peak up to 4 weeks, then decline. There is a great chance of the reinfection, and that happening.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is another question from the student of the Department of Physiology, Prakriti Sundar Samanto. Can COVID-19 transmit from pet?
Maybe. There is a great chance, as it originated from the animal.
Okay. There is another question, sir, from Rajorshi Mondal. Sir, I think HCQ can be treated as an effective drug for COVID-19 patient as it disrupts heart rhythm and inhibits the trained immunity in our body. Due to the misinfection surrounding HCQ, many people started self-medication with the drug without consulting doctors, leading to increased morbidity. How can we resolve this?
I also explained that point. I already discussed the point that mode of action of this chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, that particle grown within the body, within the cell. So that remain in the vesicle. When it fuse onto the membrane, that point actually affected by the chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine by enhancing the pH. Okay, by increasing the pH. But this is not a protective measure. People consuming, but it is just loss. Just loss. Am I clear? So thing is like that, when virus infected into the body and released from the body, this drug specifically block the release from the body. So if virus is not within our body, then consumption, that leads to no good effect, no positive effect. That is a simple loss, and that can harm to the body, not immunity.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. There is another question from Sisti Chakraborty. Can reinfection occur?
I mentioned that there is a great chance of the reinfection. That is happening. There are many examples in the Hooghly district. Around 10 number of people reinfected.
Okay, sir. Another question from Sudipto Jana. Can we get the flu and coronavirus disease together?
Maybe happen. That may happen. All are the virus, and the major site of infection is in the lungs is the major site of infection.
Another important question from Ali Rejuan COVID. Can it reaches to our brain and cross blood-brain barrier through vagus or olfactory nerve?
Okay. That is interesting question. That is the most important question. So, thing is like that. Our brain is infected not by the virus, affected by the cytokine, mostly by the cytokines. Okay. our blood-brain barrier able to protect this virus entry. But what sort of brain damage happened? That mediated by the cytokines that causes inflammation within the brain. Cytokines
Another question from Devobroto Poria. Okay. Another question from Devobroto Poria. What is the multi-system inflammatory syndrome associated with COVID-19?
What is a multi-system? That means all parts of the body affected. That happening in case of COVID-19. Our liver is not functioning. Our other parts is not functioning. That happened just you see in case of our honorable president. Okay, that every system gradually non-responding. Not only the hypoxia. People mostly oxygen is important, but oxygen transferring capacity is decreased. Cell from a layer. I shown in the picture that different cells fuse to each other form a big barrier. Therefore, oxygen unable to cross. This is the one important. But other functional organ damage that due to inflammation.
Okay, sir. There is another question from the Faculty of Department of Mathematics, Dr. Somir Kumar Bhandari. How it affects children less?
I saw the one slide.
Affects children less.
So the one side, they are growing, their immunity is growing, not declining, growing, number one. They taken many immunization, vaccine, viral immunization during the early life. Therefore, their antiviral immunity is somehow developing. And very important is that the receptor, on which receptor this virus particle can be bind, that receptor remain in the unmatured stage. Okay, therefore virus particle are not strongly bound. Okay, but in spite of this physiological system, yesterday one news come that one very 2 to 3 days baby infected by the coronavirus. That may happen. That is, there is no such universal rule for the living system.
Sir, another question from Aditi Mondal. Why large number of mucus is deposited in alveolar cell in lungs?
I shown one picture that is due to activation of the goblet cell. Secondly, due to cytokine storm, vasodilation happened. Vasodilation happened in the alveoli. Therefore, fluid are deposited within the alveoli. In one of my slide, I just focus this point. Lot of mucus, waterly mucus are deposited. That prevent the oxygen transfer also.
Sir, another question from Ali Rizwan Kabir from your discussion actually. As you mentioned that the virus is losing its infectivity, but in Malaysia, it has been reported that there is mutation which is 10 times more infected than the present strain.
That may happen. I mentioned that in comparison to SARS and MERS, till now, 380 number of amino acid varied. Okay, that varied. And that mutation may have two type of response. One is positive, another is the negative response. And that sort of mutation actually makes the virus particle less virulent than the earlier one, number one. But there may be happen in its structural genome. What sort of variation happened, that is the stress of the individual. Suppose virus particle infected me, then from me to it passed to my family member. So there is a difference in the body composition of each individual. So that stress actually make the so-called alteration of the virus system. That may happen. But till day I not get any information that it become more it turning to more virulent, but more damaging, no more fatal. Just to see in the West Bengal report as well as Indian report, its fatality, death rate gradually declining. Initially, it is around 2.2, but it reduced into 1.68 like that.
Okay, sir. There is another question, although it has been mentioned as the normal question from her side, from Ratri Karan. What is ergonomics?
Just what you wear. Suppose you procure a dress from the shop, it having the size. How people make this size? The science behind this structure modification is called ergonomics. Suppose your door size is 6 feet height, not 12 feet, not 3 feet. Why? That is depends upon the anthropometric average calculation. Thereafter, it is constructed. This science is called ergonomics.
We can take the last question from the end of participants, and this is from Narayan Barik. Sir, I want to know how each second time infected people after first time of infection.
Similar, as like after first time infection, what sort of change happened? In case of second time infection, same type of symptom will appear. No difference. Chest tightness is the common. Two symptoms are very, very important to assess whether infected or not. One is the smelling, and second is the chest tightness. In the morning, whenever you unable to feel any smell or your chest become tight, so simply you infected by the corona type of virus.
Okay, sir. I want to give a huge thanks to you, and I feel all of the queries or questions from the end of participants have been answered by your resource person, Dr. Keshav Chandra Mondal. সত্যি কথা বলতে কি আজকের মতো একটা মহান দিনে স্যারকে আমরা অ্যাজ এ টিচার হিসেবে আবারও একবার কাছে পেলাম, এবং তিনি নিজের মতো করে সত্যিকারে একজন শিক্ষকের মতো করে সবার কোশ্চেনের তো অ্যান্সার দিলেন। তার খুব সুন্দর প্রেজেন্টেশন, সঙ্গে পরামর্শ আমাদের মনে থাকবে। ধন্যবাদ স্যার, ভালো থাকবেন।
হ্যাঁ, ভালো লাগছে, এটাই ভালো। অমিতাভ দা কেমন আছেন?
থ্যাংক ইউ।
ভালো লাগছে তো? হ্যাঁ, ফ্রুট সায়েন্স থেকে ভালো লাগছে তো?
ভালো, শুনলাম, খুব ভালো লাগলো।
ভয় করবেন না, নট বি প্যানিক। ভাইরাস আমাদের ইনফেক্ট করবেই, at any time of our life. Okay, thank you very much all of you. Thank you participant. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks sir. And now we are on another technical session, and during this technical session we have achieved another great person with us, and he is none but also Mr. Amitav Roy, Secretary, Lokmata Rani Rasmani Mission, Nempit, India. Actually, if I want to introduce him, there is not enough word to discuss him, because there is observed or existed enormous activities which have been conducted, completed, organized by. There is observed huge roles from different end. There is observed the different roles of activation in case of our society, in case of our environment also. He is not only a teacher, he is not only an organizer, he is not only a project investigator, he is not only a local partner, he is not also a social worker also, he is everything. And he is now with us. So I am lucky, we are lucky because we are achieving him now. At first, I want to introduce him to all of our participants. Amitabh Roy, the Secretary of Lokomata Rani Rasmani Mission, Nimpet, India. He is the principal investigator of many of the projects, UNDP, GEF, MOEFCC, Government of India supported biodiversity conservation program in Sundarban under SGP, ECOWAS program in Sundarban funded by NCSTC, DST, Government of India, conservation of crop diversity involving women of backward community of Sundarban project funded by West Bengal Biodiversity Board, and so many projects. He was also the local partner IUCN WTI Indo-Bangladesh project entitled Protecting Tigers, People and Their Vital Habitats in the Sundarban Delta of India and Bangladesh under the Tiger Habitat Conservation Program of ICN. He is not only activated in the role of principal investigator or local partner, he was activated in the role of co-investigator also. And there is another project named as Concentration of Lead and Population of Ants in Roadside Soil of Kolkata and Preparation of Thematic Map Theory funded by Department of Environment, Government of West Bengal. He has acted in the role of organizer also, coordinator also in different kinds of state level seminar, workshop, etc. Just like environmental application of GIS and remote sensing supported by DST, GOAL, DST, West Bengal Biodiversity Board, etc. Environmental scenario of Sundarban area supported by MOEF, Biodiversity of West Bengal supported by West Bengal Biodiversity Board, etc. He is engaged in different kinds of project managemental activities also, and there are observed many of livelihood projects where he has been activated in the most active role. For example, provided livelihood training to about 1860 women of Sundarban under the fund support of West Bengal Swannirbhar Corporation Limited, provided livelihood training under fund support of self-help group and AC department, Government of West Bengal, and so many. There are some campaign also organized and managed by himself, and which are mainly environmental and biodiversity related. Organized national environmental awareness campaigning since 2002-2003. Organized campaign against the use of plastic carry bags under in collaboration with West Bengal Pollution Control Board. Organized awareness program on banning of unnecessary honking at science zone involving school children specifically in collaboration with West Bengal Pollution Control Board, and so many. He is also district coordinator of National Children's Science Congress, South Chobbish Pargana district. And in appreciation of work organized by Sri Amitabh Roy, following awards have been received by his organization Lokomata Rani Rasmani Mission, winner of prestigious Meghnad Award 2006 from the Department of Science and Technology, Government of West Bengal, for science popularization activities in West Bengal. He was the winner of Environment Excellence Award 2005 from West Bengal Pollution Control Board and Indian Chamber of Commerce for environmental awareness activities. He was selected as the best youth organization of the district 2007 for activities with youths by Nehru Yuva Kendra Barwipur. He stood first, second, third, fifth, and sixth amongst the NGOs of West Bengal in National Environmental Awareness Campaign. He has been decorated by Vivek Samman 2014 from Vivek Pathe, a reputed NGO. He was the winner of NGO Leadership and Excellence Award 2014 from Global CRS powered by ABP News. She has been engaged in different social works, and now he is activated in the role of Honorary General Secretary Longmatha Rani Rasmani Mission, and he is professionally engaged in the role of Senior Statistical Assistant also, Zoological Survey of India, Government of India since 1992. Hence, we can give our opinion about him. He is nothing but everything, and he cannot be explained in a word only. He is enormous figure to us. He is a large figure to us, and we are proud of him because we have achieved him now. Now I would request him to deliver his lecture now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Actually, I am presenting from a remote area of Sundarban. That's why electricity problem is there. Just now, the electricity power has been gone, so I cannot show the presentation. I am giving the presentation from my mobile, and I am due to the connection problem. I am switching the video too. Okay. I will mainly concentrate on the socio-economic aspect of COVID-19, how the marginalized community is facing the COVID-19 situation in different areas of our country. Now the question is why I am selecting Sundarban as a testing ground of this thing. Because Sundarban is one of the most backward areas of our country. The reason behind I selected Sundarban as a testing ground of socioeconomic effect of COVID-19, the first reason is Sundarban is one of the most backward areas of our country with difficult geographical terrain. In Indian Sundarban, more than 44 lakhs of people inhabit in 52 islands out of 102 islands. Total inhabited area is about 4,500 square kilometers. So the population density is 1,000 people per square kilometer. And the most of the people are marginalized and poor. Nearly 95% of population depend on agriculture, and 50% of agriculturists are landless. You'll be astonished to know that about 88% of households faced food shortage of some kind in Sundarban area, and about 21% without the assurance of even 1 square meal a day. So in such an area, we will witness the effect of COVID-19 much more than the other areas. The second reason is the entire India is facing the problem due to COVID, the socio-economic problem due to COVID from end of March when Government of India declared the lockdown. But Sundarban and Sundarban people is the only area of India facing the economic problem due to COVID-19 since December 2019, during the first outbreak of COVID at Wuhan, China. Because China is the main importer of the crabs and prawns from Sundarban. And from December 2019, China stopped importing crabs and prawns from Sundarban. Actually, the Sundarban is trading over 1,000 crores per year from shrimp and shrimp only. So the economy and life of common people of Sundarban have been hampered since December 2019, when everything was normal in the rest of the India. So the effect of COVID-19, the socioeconomic effect of COVID-19 is much more in Sundarban. The third reason is reverse migration. According to latest World Bank report, about 30% of the household of Sundarban have a family member staying outside for job as migrant labor. During COVID lockdown period, thousands of migrant labor returned back to Sundarban from different states of West Bengal, different states of India, as well as from abroad. So Sundarban is facing the highest negative effect of reverse migration during COVID-19. And the fourth and most important part is the poor healthcare situation in Sundarban area. This is a remote area, and according to a published paper, 1 of every 3 persons in Sundarban does not have any access to the institutional healthcare. If I give an example, it will be clear. In Kultoli block, one of the forest fringe blocks of Sundarban, the population is more than 2.3 lakhs, but only 9 medical officers are serving there with 47 institutional, the hospital bed. So, 1 medical officer, 1 doctor is serving 25,000 population, and 1 bed in hospital for 5,000 population. So, you will not witness such poor health infrastructure anywhere in India. So, these 4 factors is enough to justify the impact of socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 in any part of the rural part of the India. Actually, the community of Sundarban are habituated with frequent natural catastrophic events, but COVID lockdown is completely new to them. Now, to understand the ground level scenario, our staff members and volunteers interacted with more than 2,000 families of Sundarban during their rapid relief. As I mentioned you earlier, that during last December, January, the forest dependent community are facing marketing problem of non-timber forest products due to restriction of import of crabs and prawns in international market. But one silver line was there. The marginalized community were earning something due to the demand in domestic market. But after declaring lockdown during late March, the demand of non-timber forest product became zero. Moreover, the forest department restricted all types of anthropogenic activities inside the forest to protect the wildlife from the COVID. Because that time, the idea was not clear whether the virus will transmit from human being to wildlife or not. Just a few minutes back, Dr. Mundal was pointing out that thing. So, forest department also restricted them to enter in the forest. Not only that, the situation became worse when the forest department imposed ban on fishing, like every year, during April to 15th June, due to the spawning season, the breeding season of the aquatic fauna. So thousands of poor indigenous forest dependent community lost their main source of livelihood. During the period, we noticed that about 15 to 16 cases of man-tiger conflict in Sundarban area, especially in 2 blocks, Gosaba and Kultoli. During last 48 years, we have noticed 2 man-animal conflict cases in Sundarban areas. Actually, the number is slightly high than that of previous years, but we cannot conclude that man-animal conflict has been increased due to COVID situation. But we noticed that few number of cases are there where the person, the migrant laborers after losing their job, they returned back to Sundarban and they engaged themselves in forest related activities like honey collection, like fish collection, like crab collection, all this type of thing. According to our observation, in early phase of lockdown, that is during lockdown phase 1, end March to April, more than 80% of the forest fringe community of Sundarban were facing extreme shortage of food grains, as that time the public distribution system, the rationing system, was not active. Particularly, local government was not prepared for the situation. During lockdown phase 2 and 3, that is April to May, situation become manageable as few local NGOs and organizations proactively providing the relief. And at the same time, the government increased the allotment and supply of food grains through public distribution system. During fourth phase of lockdown, the super cyclone Amphan hit Sundarban and make the situation more critical. However, due to increased flow of public relief and active public distribution system, the community got enough food grains during that time. But during this phase, we noticed the shortage of secondary food materials like edible oil, spices, etc. And this scarcity is not only affected the lower income group, but the middle income group of people also affected by this shortage of secondary materials. According to our observation, the representatives of middle income group involved in transport sector, in tourism sector, in the small shopkeepers, the employees of unorganized sectors faced the problem. During the period of Amphan, we witnessed the unpreparedness of disaster management plan. No one guided the interested relief organization regarding where to initiate their relief operation. As a result, multiple organizations distributed relief in the same location while people of adjacent location are suffering. However, Amphan created an opportunity to cope up with the economic crisis of marginalized population due to COVID-19 by involving them in reconstruction activity through MGNREGA. But surprisingly, we noticed that the government is relying upon the big machines like JCBs and all for reconstruction of the bridge embankment, when thousands of locals are waiting for work, when thousands of locals are out of work. I think in COVID-like situation, when lack is there, government should depend on manpower rather than machine power. But recently, government involved the hundreds in plantation and other activities through MGNREGA. They are getting a job now. However, the people of Sundarban avoided the starvation situation during COVID due to effective the public distribution system, the adequate relief, and work from MGNREGA. And one major thing, that after the Amphan, the people of Sundarban has got some compensation. So they got some liquid cash from government, which helped them to cope up with the situation. Moreover, during May, June, the monsoon has started, and during monsoon, the agriculture sector opened the opportunity for earning for the poor and marginalized people. The lower income group of people are trying their best to manage the situation, but the lower middle income group of people are still in the problem, which may affect the socioeconomic condition of the area for long-term basis. Now, if we consider the health issues, like rest of India, the migrant worker they have returned to their native place, Sundarban, and they faced the cruelty of the government during their return journey. Thousands of people from all over India returned back to Sundarban after losing their job. But here we witness that due to lack of coordination of government departments, most of them returned directly to their village without any health checkup. During the Amphan, thousands of villagers gathered in flood shelters where there was no opportunity to maintain the social distancing. Moreover, the awareness level of the community of Sundarban regarding that pandemic is very less. Very few of them are using face masks and maintaining the social distancing. Actually, during that point of time, the community medicine experts apprehended that above three factors will act as a catalyst for spreading of COVID-19 in rural areas of Sundarban. But people of Sundarban are lucky enough that so much outbreak we haven't witnessed till date. As per Government of West Bengal Health Department report, till 1st September 2020, in South 24 Parganas, total 11,650 COVID positive cases have been detected. And the district ranked 4th highest district among West Bengal. But most of the cases of the district are from urban or semi-urban blocks of South 24 Parganas. Surprisingly, the COVID positive cases in the Sundarban blocks relatively low. And presently, the health department is very active in the remote areas of Sundarban. A good number of rapid tests are being done by them regularly. So, if we conclude, then we can say that the marginalized community of the Sundarban are trying their best to cope up with the situation. The lower middle income group of people is still struggling socioeconomically, and the COVID is also under control in the Sundarban area till time. But the common people of Sundarban are now detached with the city of Kolkata as the suburban train service has been suspended from March. So it is a challenge for the government to handle the situation after restoration of the railway communication. So I think it is not the scenario of Sundarban only. As Sundarban is the most backward part of the country, so I raise the example of the people of Sundarban. It is clear that people of Sundarban are trying to match themselves with the new normal situation. We noticed few examples of adaptation among the marginalized people so that they can involve themselves in different types of alternate livelihood activities or income generation activities. But still, the lower middle income group of people are suffering. And I think this is not the scenario of Sundarban only. This is the scenario of our country, that the lower income group, they are struggling, they are adapting, and they are coping up the situation. The lower middle income group, they are still suffering, and they are trying to cope up the situation, and the adaptability capacity of the lower middle income group is relatively low than that of the lower income group of people, the marginalized people. So I think this will give an idea of how the people of Sundarban, the rural people of Sundarban, and rural people of our country is fighting with the COVID situation to manage their life, to continue their life, and how the adaptations are being taken place. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. If there is any question from the participants, please type in the chat box. Okay, Amitabh sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, there is one question from Dr. Somir Kumar Bhandari.
Ah.
Why their people low affected is herd immunity there? Why their people low affected is herd immunity there?
See, it is very difficult to say. It is very difficult to say, but surprisingly, we noticed that they are not maintaining the social distancing. They are not using the mask properly, and so much mixing is there. From outside, the migrant laborers has come directly to their community, and so much mixing is there. But no outbreak is there till date. So it is a very surprising thing, and I think the researchers must be concentrate on this area. Why the outbreak is not there when the enough possibilities was there. So it is a good area of research for the academicians.
Sir, one question from my side. Not question, but query from my side to you. Is the tourism industry more responsible in case of COVID outbreak, in case of Sundarban region? Tourism industry or tourism related activities?
No, actually, after declaration of lockdown, the total tourism industry has been that crashed. No tourist is entering in the Sundarban till date. No tourist is entering in the Sundarban, and thousands of people are dependent upon the tourism sector, especially in Gosaba block. There's so many the boats are there, so many the hotels are there, so many homestays are there, and they are totally empty and they are totally out of work. So tourism is not responsible for any outbreak. Actually, surprisingly, Sundarban is safe. Sundarban is safe. Till date, we noticed very less number of that affected case in Sundarban. Negligible number of cases are there reported from the health department. So relatively, the people of Sundarban are safe, but we don't know what will happen when the local train service will restore.
Sir, another question from Onu Prasad Saha. Why not much impact Sundarban's people?
Yes, that is also surprising. That is I am pointing out. Researchers must be concentrated on this area. Why the Sundarban is not affected, or actually, in every district we are noticing that the rural areas are relatively good. The urban or semi-urban area, there are so many cases of COVID positive is there. If you consider the rural area, in rural area the outbreak is almost nil. So it is a good thing for us, because most of the people of Sundarban are living in the rural areas. So I don't know why what is the cause behind it, but it is a reality that rural area is less affected by COVID rather than semi-urban or urban areas.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is another question from Narayan Barik. How Environment Amendment Act are direct or indirect relationship with our mangrove forest, and how we are benefited for this particular time?
Actually, there is a conflict between the development and environment. If you want development, then you have to compromise with the environmental situation. If you want to keep environment intact, then you have to compromise with the development. So it is vice versa. The thing is, in Sundarban areas, the government and the lawmakers are trying to protect the Sundarban areas in different ways. They are declaring a huge areas of Sundarban as national park or protected areas. They are declaring the Sundarban different. They're imposing different treaties and norms. Last year, the Ramsar, it has been declared as Ramsar site. So policymakers are trying to protect the Sundarban, but at the same time, we have to think about the people of Sundarban or people of not only Sundarban, of the forest areas, because as per Forest Right Act, the forest dependent people is the owner of the forest and who can protect the forest also. But if you consider the laws and acts and treaties, they are trying to restrict the indigenous people to access the forest resources from forest. So there is obviously in every area, in every country, in every state, there is a conflict between development and environment. If you want development, then you have to you don't have to think about environment too much. If you want to protect environment, then you have to compromise with the development.
Okay, sir. There is another question from Devosri Dam. Could it attributed to strong immunity?
It is very difficult to say, madam, because we don't know what is the reason behind it, why the rural people is not being affected so much by COVID. So it is very difficult to say the reason. That is what I am asking the academician. I am drawing the attention of the academicians, the researchers, to do research on this area. Why the people of Sundarban or why the rural people is being less affected by the COVID-19, whether the immunity or any other reason behind it.
Okay, there is another question, but it is more or less synonymous to Devosri ma'am. But this is from Anup Prasad Saha. Is it not related about the people's immunity matter?
Yes, I think so. It may be. It may be. It may not be. But more research is required on this aspect. While you see in Dharavi, in Mumbai, the slum area is being affected. That is a urban area. But similar kind of thing, similar kind of situation is there in our rural areas too. But they are relatively safe. I don't know what is the thing. Maybe their immunity power is much more better than the urban or semi-urban people. Maybe, or may not be. But we have to study on this. We have to research on this, and I think the researchers has enough scope to study on this thing.
Okay, sir. There is another question from Somir Kumar Bhandari. What is the solution for growth and development economically?
Yes, this is very difficult. This is very difficult. These two cannot run simultaneously. If you want development, then some sort of that environmental disaster you have to face. If you want the safety of the environment, then you have to forget about the development. So somewhere we have to compromise in this world. Somewhere we have to compromise. The two things cannot run simultaneously, and it is very difficult. It is very difficult because everyone want development. In Sundarban, everyone want a new bridge. If you construct a new bridge, then some environmental degradation will be happen. Now the government of India and the government of Bangladesh opened that river corridor, and the ships are moving from Bangladesh to India for carrying the fly ash and iron ore. And you noticed that so many ships has been damaged, and iron ore or the fly ash has been mixed with the water of river. So if you want development, some sort of damage of environment must be taken place.
There is another question from Devobroto Poria, Department of Physiology, Pachkun Miloni Mahavidyalaya. But this question is not related only to COVID-19, but also the cyclone Amphan. The question is how to cyclone Amphan affected Sundarban. COVID-19 lockdown adds to odds as villagers struggle to migrate to cities in search for work.
No, actually, we see some difference between Amphan and Ayla. After Ayla, during 2009, thousands of people migrated from Sundarban to other area. But after Amphan, what we noticed that migration was not taken place, but reverse migration was there, as because the migrated people lost their job and they came back to Sundarban itself. So this is the basic difference between Amphan and Ayla. During Ayla, the migration was there, and during Amphan, the reverse migration is there. But in one thing I would like to mention, that Amphan did a lot of damage of property in Sundarban. But in Ayla, the environmental damage was much more. I'm giving you one example. In Ayla, 700 kilometers of embankment has been breached. But in Amphan, only 200 kilometers of embankment has been damaged. So by this thing, you can quantify the loss of environment. But still, a huge loss of environment was there. The lakhs of trees have been uprooted, and few areas have been inundated by the saline water. But still, Amphan is like a blessings for the people of Sundarban, as most of the people of Sundarban has got some sort of compensation in liquid cash from state government, which helped them to fight with the COVID situation.
Okay, sir. A lot of thanks from our side. There is no more questions.
Thank you.
To give
Thank
the
you.
answer. We are lucky for you having with us, and our participants are also lucky having with you. A lot of thanks and the heartiest respect from our end on such type of the greatest, one of the greatest days in India, Teachers' Day. Thank you, sir. So all of the participants, you are requested to meet again during technical session 4.